Right across to these visuals coming in live from Raipur, where Home Minister Amit Shah, who's been over there on ground, he has been to Jagdalpur. He is also now in Raipur visiting the injured Jawans on ground there. Let's in fact take this across to Priyank also, who's with us live at the moment. Priyank, Home Minister Amit Shah, who's on ground there in Raipur and is in fact, as we speak, meeting with the injured Jawans.
Yes, Madhav, this is the Ramakrishna Hospital where the Home Minister came just a short while back after going to the Jagdalpur, where he had paid homage to the martyred personnel, after which he had also gone to Bijapur, and soon after visiting Bijapur, the Home Minister came here to see the injured police personnel. It was very important for the police personnel and the paramilitary force people because the HM himself came. Yesterday, when we spoke to these personnel who were injured, they told us their story, that how bravely they had fought with these injured in this particular encounter. There were two factors which have been highlighted on Times since morning, which were the key highlights of the meeting, which include that the state and the centre has spoken to each other. The Chief Minister was accompanying the Home Minister since early morning, that the anti-national operation will not be stopped because of this kind of casualty. And the second part is a search for the missing CRPF personnel, Rakeshwar, who has been missing from the spot since the time of this particular incident. There were claims which were made through some local media networks by some alleged Naxals that Rakeshwar is in their custody. But we wanted to take the HM's reaction on that, but no statement came out from the Home Minister. Earlier in the day, he said that there are few details which is not expected to be shared before the media on public platform. But we were expecting that after meeting the injured police personnel, the HM might comment on this particular issue. So the situation on the ground is for the search of all the only one police CRPF personnel who has been missing from the spot since the time period. But the inter-coordination meeting was very much important, which continued for 1.5 hours earlier in the day.
Well, questions are being raised also by opposition parties, Priyank, about whether there was an intelligence failure or whether there was a tactical failure. Now, while the CRPF chief has denied that there was any kind of intelligence failure, what happened on ground really is still the big question.
Yes, Madhav, but throughout the day, we could see that the Chief Minister of the state, who is from the Congress party, was with the Home Minister. He was with the Home Minister since morning. They had a meeting earlier in the day. So the state and the centre has been stating the same thing, that there was no intelligence failure. What we can tell to our viewers, that there could be some operational failure, because there were around 2,000 police as well as paramilitary personnel. This particular troop, which was consisting of 400 men, was ambushed in U-shape by the Naxals. But there's a big thing which need to be highlighted, Madhav, is the use of rocket launcher, which was done by the Naxals. So over the period of years, they have managed to procure more and more arms and ammunition, which are certainly sophisticated. The same kind of weapon which is being used by the paramilitary forces or the DIG of Chhattisgarh is also been accessed by the Naxal, which is a very serious thing. In 2016, when I spoke to Hidma, the operational commander of the Naxal unit, who is also said to be the main person who had coordinated this particular attack, he was only carrying an Insas, Madhav. He was not having even an AK-47, which is there with every security person in this particular area. So from Insas, they have moved to rocket launcher, which is a very serious thing for the security personnel.
Well, yes, that's a very, very important aspect that you've put out, while in fact there was a talk before this that the Naxalites, the Maoists, were completely decimated in terms of resources. They seem to have regrouped, and that really is a big issue of concern, Priyank, because after so many years, such a dastardly strike that the Maoists have managed to conduct. But what are your sources in the security forces tell you? How does this change things as per their protocol? Of course, we have known and we have seen political leaders, including the Chief Minister, come out and say that camps will continue to be established, that this does not change things as far as the plans are concerned. But certainly in terms of the tactics of our security forces, they will have to take all of these new ground realities into account.
See, Madhav, there's no denial about the fact that in this particular incident which happened day before yesterday, there was a very well thought, well planned, ambush which was created by the Naxals. It was in the form of U-shape. They were on a very strategical position through where they were opening fire. After talking to the injured police, personals, what I have gathered that the Naxals had sharpshooters, and every bullet was being fired on the body of CRPF personals as well as other security forces who were on the ground. So over the years, what we can say, what agencies also need to be alert is the strategical move and a very well-trained move of these Naxals. What we also gathered earlier in the day that this particular team, which had been ambushed by the Naxal, was new to this area. They were not so well versed with this particular terrain, and that could be one of the reasons because of which this kind of major casualty has happened. But those personnels who were injured have said that they fought very bravely. The operation continued for around 5 hours. There was a massive casualty with respect to Naxals, but we are only concerned that how is it possible that our brave men who were in around 2 dozen in number, Madhav, who were, who got martyred in this particular incident, and that is the biggest worry for which certainly either state or center, both of them need to come out with very logical explanation for what has happened. Although they have said that there was no intel failure, but people of the country would need answers for this.
Afzal lobby that we were exposing has now emboldened the Maoists so much that Madhav, they have now released a statement in which they are saluting the terrorists. Can you believe it? I have the statement. It's a 2-page statement and it says साहसिक गुरिल्ला योद्धाओं को लाल सलाम, अमर शहीद गुरिल्ला योद्धाओं को जोहार. They are not just saluting them, also lauding their valor. And let me read the second paragraph here. It says पिछले 3 माह में पश्चिम सिंहभूम में झारखंड, जगवार, नारायणपुर के कडियार में डीआरजी, बीजापुर और जोनागोंडा तरेम के डीआरजी, बस्तर बटालियन, कोबरा, सीआरपीएफ के संयुक्त रूप से हमले करने आए हजारों फोर्सेस के साथ जीत के लक्ष्य को लेकर कमेटी लाल सलाम पेश करती है. At a time when the Maoists have now are lauding the terrorists, this was a terror act. There is no other way to describe it. This was red terror, bleeding India. Why are the people in the left Latvian's ecosystem still silent? What will wake them up if not this? Madhav, that's the question that Times Now is trying to highlight. Where are those people who say these are oppressed, that they are only demanding development? These people, let's make no mistake about it, are anti-development. Every time a road is built, a telecom tower is put there, or a school is built for the children there, the Maoists come, attack the people working in these places. They have, in the last 6 months, damaged at least 3 roads. You have the CRPF officials on record giving out data. Madhav.
Well, absolutely. And in fact, that is what makes all of this that much more shocking, Pranesh. The fact that they've actually put out a statement, in fact, venerating those who've carried out this kind of a dastardly attack on our forces. That's, of course, a very, very shocking development that has taken place. In fact, I want to take this across to our guests who are joining us live. With us at the moment is Nuhin Sinha, spokesperson of the BJP. Also with us is Shehzad Poonawala, lawyer, joining us. Sumanth Raman, political analyst, is with us. And with us is Suneet Chopra, senior leader of the CPM. Suneet Chopra, I want to start with you, sir. Look at this absolute shocker of a statement. Can there be any justification for this kind of violence that is unleashed on our armed forces? These are the persons who protect our borders. These are the persons who allow for us as common citizens to lead a normal life. Can there be any justification for this violence?
I am speaking on behalf of myself as an individual, right? I'm making it very clear. And let me say that I first of all offer my condolences to the innocent people who were killed doing their duty to the country. Secondly, I would like to know from the government that when the Home Minister was traipsing around Assam, abusing, giving false evidence against various governments, you were doing this operation here. This kind of thing should never have been allowed. We have seen it in Pathankot, we have seen it in Pulwama. So I want to know,
Mr. Sunit
why
Chopra,
is
the
it
question is this. The question is that you can ask, you can hold the government to account, sir. You have every right to hold the government to account.
Don't say,
but certainly, of course, linking the polls with this, of course, is a question that I'm going to put across to the BJP. I'm going to put this question to Tuin Sinha. Tuin Sinha, Sunit Chopra raising questions about the Home Minister who was on the campaign trail, and his allegation, of course, is that the eye of or the detail that the Home Minister should have had, perhaps if he was there on ground in his office, this would not have happened. That's his charge. Your response to that, Tuin Sinha.
I need not emphasize enough that we are committed to eradication of Naxalism from the face of India. And in a reply given by the Minister of State for Home, Kishan Reddy, in February this year, it has been categorically stated that in the last 5 years, if you compare the period between 2010 to 2014, there has been a reduction of 47% in Naxal incidences across the country. But having said that, the Naxals still derive oxygen, they still derive intellectual fodder from urban Naxals sitting in TV studios. They derive intellectual fodder from those people who don't utter a word on the issue of Varavaro. They derive fodder from those political parties which promise removal of sedition laws when they came to power. And even today, let me complete, Mr. Sumit Chopra. Even today, Rahul Gandhi has been reprimanded on Twitter by Shesh Paul, where one of the senior most police officers who has led anti-terror operations in Kashmir, their immediate insinuation is invariably to put the onus on the security forces. Today, Rahul Gandhi has gone to the extent of...
All right. Let me go across to other panelists as well. Sunit Chopra, just calm down for a minute and let me take this question across to Sumanth Raman. Sumanth Raman, even mainstream political parties, when it comes to terror, have soft pedal time and again. On such a somber occasion where we have lost 22 of our Jawans, still the kind of condemnation coming in from people such as this gentleman, Mr. Sunit Chopra, is extremely conditional. He will condemn it, but then he will also raise questions as to why, or in fact, if the government really was responsible for this. The fact is that's an act of violence that has been perpetrated by a group of individuals who don't believe in the Constitution and who believe they can take the law and order into their own hands. Sumanth Raman.
Yeah. Madhav, first of all, let me offer my condolences to the bereaved families and my salute to the martyrs who've laid down their lives for the country. Now, the first point is, this is not an incident.
डीजी अवस्थी जी, क्या हो रहा है? डीजी अवस्थी जी, वो चालू है? किसी का माइक चालू है वहाँ?
Or we were trying to, in fact, listen to what the Home Minister was mentioning after meeting the injured soldiers there in Raipur. He has, of course, paid respects to the martyrs earlier in the day in Jagdalpur as well. I'm going to take that question right back to Sumanth Raman. Yes, Sumanth Raman, please continue.
Instead, you constantly look for soft targets to sort of say, oh, Urban Naxals are doing this, they are providing intellectual support. Look, at the end of the day, everyone knows that you have to deal with the people in that region and find a long-term lasting solution. In 7 years, the Naxalite problem in Bastar,
सीआरपीएफ और कोबरा फोर्स के सभी जवान भाइयों, सबसे पहले तो ये ऑपरेशन के अंदर हमारे कुछ साथी शहीद हुए हैं। छत्तीसगढ़ पुलिस के, सीआरपीएफ के, कोबरा फोर्स के, वो सभी को मैं देश के प्रधानमंत्री जी की ओर से, मेरी ओर से और समग्र देश की जनता की ओर से बहुत भावपूर्वक श्रद्धांजलि देता हूं। उन्होंने अपने जीवन का सर्वस्व इस देश के लिए, इस देश के विकास के लिए, इस देश की शांति के लिए त्यागा है, बलिदान दिया है। उनके सर्वोच्च बलिदान को ये देश कभी भुला नहीं सकता। जो लोग गए हैं, इनके परिवारों के प्रति भी पूरे देश की सहानुभूति है। पूरा देश चट्टान की तरह इनके साथ खड़ा है। मैं आप लोगों को आज इतना ही कह सकता हूं कि आपके कुछ साथी आपने जरूर गंवाए हैं, मगर आप भारत सरकार पर, छत्तीसगढ़ सरकार पर भरोसा रखना, आपके साथियों का बलिदान व्यर्थ नहीं जाएगा। जिस उद्देश्य के लिए इन्होंने बलिदान दिया है, वो उद्देश्य निश्चित रूप से पूरा होगा और विजय हमारी होगी। आज सुबह मैं जब इन सब के मृतदेहों को उनके घर पर भेजा जा रहा था, तब उनको सलामी देकर आया हूं, श्रद्धांजलि देकर आया हूं। जब ये दृश्य टीवी पर जाते थे, पूरे देश के परिवारों के घर के अंदर सभी लोगों के आंखों में नमी थी। एक सम्मान का भाव था, एक फक्र का भाव था कि देश का जवान अपने घर से किलोमीटरों दूर देश के लिए, देश की मिट्टी के लिए, देश की शांति और देश के विकास के लिए अपनी जान का बलिदान दिया है। एक और तो गौरव हो रहा था, दूसरी ओर मन में बड़ा शोक और दुख भी था कि इतनी युवावस्था में ये जवान हमारे बीच में नहीं। आज मैं उसी टीम के साथ बैठा हूं जो टीम ये लड़ाई लड़कर आई। आपने मुझे बताया, मेरी ब्रीफिंग भी हुई वहां पर, घंटों तक इतनी विषम परिस्थिति में आपने बहादुरी के साथ ये लड़ाई को लड़ा है। पूरा देश आप पर गर्व कर रहा है। कुछ क्षति हमारी जरूर हुई, मगर जिनके खिलाफ हमारा ऑपरेशन था, जिनके खिलाफ लड़ाई थी, उनकी भी क्षति हुई। और हमें ये नहीं भूलना चाहिए कि कुछ साल पहले वहां पहुंचना भी दिक्कत थी। उनके घर में जाकर, उनके घर तक पहुंचकर हमने लड़ाई लड़ी है और हम बहादुरी के साथ लड़े। आप सबकी बहादुरी के कारण ही 4 साढ़े 4 घंटे तक मुठभेड़ चली। उनका भी भारी नुकसान हुआ, हमारा भी नुकसान हुआ, परंतु ये लड़ाई है, ये लड़ाई को हमने अंजाम तक पहुंचाना है। विगत कई सालों से हम देख रहे हैं, धीरे 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 हम अपनी पोस्टों को आगे बढ़ाते जा रहे हैं। मैं 2019 से गृह मंत्री हूं, मैं देख रहा हूं 2 साल के हम अंदर काफी अंदर गए हैं, लॉजिस्टिक को भी बढ़ाया है और रोड को भी अंदर तक पहुंचाने का हमने प्रयास किया है। हमारे कैंप भी बड़े हैं, जवानों की तैनाती भी बड़ी है। कुछ दिक्कतें जरूर हैं जो आपने बताई है, मुझे मेरे साथियों ने भी लिखी है, मैं भी इसकी एक डिटेल नोट लूंगा। आप आश्वस्त रहिए, जो बेस्ट अवेलेबल हो सकता है वो आपके लिए उपलब्ध कराने में भारत सरकार कोई कसर नहीं छोड़ेगी। ये सारी की सारी जो आपने बातें बताई हैं, उसको उच्चतम स्तर से गंभीरता के साथ लेकर आपकी सहायता हो, इस प्रकार की व्यवस्था हम खड़ी करना चाहते हैं। परंतु मैं इतना ही कहना चाहता हूं मित्रों कि जब एक साथी साथ छोड़कर जाता है, हम सबका दुख तो होता ही है, परंतु ये पूरे क्षेत्र के हजारों गरीब जो आज नक्सल समस्या के कारण लाखों करोड़ों लोग विकास से महरूम है, यहां ना उद्योग आ सकता है, ना रोजगार आ सकता है, ना अच्छी स्कूलें बन सकती है, ना अस्पताल बन सकते हैं, ना कॉलेज बन सकते हैं। उनके जीवन की सुखाकारी के लिए समस्या के खिलाफ हमने लड़ना ही चाहिए, लड़ना ही पड़ेगा, हमारे पास कोई चारा नहीं। सरकार यह भी प्रयास कर रही है कि सब लोग हथियार डालकर आए। मैं तो आज भी कहता हूं कि हथियार डालकर आना है, उनका स्वागत, मगर हाथ में हथियार है तो हमारे पास भी कोई रास्ता नहीं बचता। आपके जज्बे के कारण, आपकी वीरता के कारण और विषम परिस्थिति में संघर्ष करने के आपके एक स्वभाव के कारण आज देश में नक्सल समस्या काफी मात्रा में कम हुई है। बहुत सारे क्षेत्रों को हमने इस समस्या से बाहर निकाल दिया है, और ये क्षेत्र जहां मैं खड़ा हूं वो आज समस्या का एपिक सेंटर बना हुआ है, और ये क्षेत्र में आपकी तैनाती है तो आपकी एक विशेष जिम्मेदारी है कि लड़ाई अपने अंतिम चरण में पहुंची है, उस वक्त जरा भी हिम्मत गवाए बगैर जिस वीरता के साथ आपने परसों लड़ाई लड़ी है, इसी भाव को, इसी वीरता को कंटिन्यू करते हुए जब तक विजय नहीं होता हमने लड़ना पड़ेगा, लड़ना चाहिए और विजय की प्राप्ति करनी चाहिए। अन्य राज्यों से कोऑर्डिनेशन, स्टेट गवर्नमेंट का कोऑर्डिनेशन अच्छा ही है, ये सारी चर्चा भी हुई, कार्य योजना भी बनी, मगर लड़ाई होती है तो क्षति भी होती है, और जब साथी जाता है दुख भी होता है। ये दुख जितना आपको है उतना ही हमें भी है, परंतु लड़ाई को हम रोक नहीं सकते। लड़ाई को इसी जज्बे के साथ आपको आगे बढ़ाना है, और इसीलिए आज मैं यहां आपके बीच में आया हूं। जब से मैं सुना, मैं आसाम था, मेरे सारे कार्यक्रम रद्द कट कर मैं कल शाम को दिल्ली पहुंचा, दिल्ली जाके रिव्यू किया, और आज बड़े सवेरे से यही क्षेत्र में हूं जहां ये समस्या है। मैं आज यहां पर देश के प्रधानमंत्री जी का भी संदेश लेकर आपके लिए आया हूं। ये लड़ाई में हमारे पास विजय के अलावे कोई विकल्प नहीं है, क्योंकि ये लड़ाई हमारी व्यक्तिगत लड़ाई नहीं है, देश को शांत और विकसित करने की, देश को समृद्ध करने की लड़ाई है। इसमें हमें विजय प्राप्त करनी है। और यहां पर आज आप लोगों को सुना भी, आपके साथ चर्चा भी करी, आपके अफसरों के साथ भी सुबह काफी डिटेल चर्चा हुई है, आपके साथ भोजन भी रखा है। मैं चाहूंगा कि जहां आप भोजन करें वहीं खड़ा रहकर मैं आपके साथ भोजन करूं, भोजन करते करते भी मैं आपके साथ बात करूंगा, मगर इतना भरोसा जरूर रखना कि भारत सरकार संवेदना के साथ आपकी हर तकलीफ को समझती है और आपकी ये लड़ाई के साथ चट्टान की तरह खड़ी है। आपकी हर जरूरियात को पूरा करने की तैयारी भी है और इच्छा भी है। यहां से जाने के बाद जितनी भी कमियां नजर आएगी, इसको भरने के लिए हम तुरंत ही कार्यवाही करेंगे। मैं आप सभी को फिर से एक बार बहुत बहुत शाबाशी तो नहीं कह सकता, मगर साधुवाद देना चाहता हूं, आपकी वीरता की बुरी बुरी प्रशंसा करना चाहता हूं कि आपने 4-4.5 घंटे तक एक कठिन लड़ाई लड़कर दुश्मन के दांत खट्टे करने का काम किया है और वीरता के साथ आप लड़ाई लड़े हो। और ऐसी जगह पे लड़ाई लड़े हो जहां जाने की पहले हम कल्पना भी नहीं कर सकते। और ये लड़ाई को हम सब मिलकर जारी रखें जब तक विजय नहीं होता, जब तक ये समस्या निर्मूल नहीं होती, तब तक हमारी लड़ाई समाप्त नहीं हो सकती। मैं फिर से एक बार देश के प्रधानमंत्री और भारत सरकार की ओर से आपने जो वीरता दिखाई है, इसलिए मैं बहुत बहुत मन के साथ आप सभी की प्रशंसा भी करना चाहता हूं और आप सभी को साधुवाद भी देना चाहता हूं कि वीरता का जो जज्बा है अनेक सालों तक जो सीआरपीएफ और कोबरा ज्वाइन करेंगे उनके लिए प्रेरणा देता रहेगा। एक गाथा बनेगी और एक गाथा आने वाले दिनों में कई पीढ़ियों तक सीआरपीएफ की लोग याद करेंगे और इससे प्रेरणा लेकर देश के लिए, देश की शांति के लिए, देश के विकास के लिए काम करने की प्रेरणा लेंगे। फिर से एक बार आप सभी को बहुत बहुत साधुवाद देकर मेरी बात को समाप्त करता हूं और जो हमारे साथी शहीद हुए हैं उनको पूरे देश की ओर से एक विनम्रता पूर्वक श्रद्धांजलि देकर
All right, that was in fact Home Minister talking about the sacrifice of our brave, saying that it won't go in vain, it will be avenged, and certainly of course saying that the government will crack down on red terror. That is what the Home Minister has said today. He has been speaking in Jagdalpur earlier in the day, and this time he was speaking in Raipur. Let me quickly bring in Shehzad Poonawala for a quick comment. Shehzad, the government of course underlining its commitment to finish red terror. Of course, you have those who have been raising questions and seeking accountability from the government also for this particular attack.
You know, Madhav, it's a day when we should be saluting Shahadat, not doing siyasat on Shahadat. But the question to the likes of Sumanth Raman and to Mr. Sunit Chopra is that for time immemorial, they've been defending Deshdrohis as dissenters. Today, they must take a stand. Should we be talking to Maoists and Urban Naxals? Should we be cribbing about it when Urban Naxals like Sudha Bharadwaj, Vernon Gonzalez and others are sent to jail? Or will they continue to defend the likes of Varavara Rao as dissenters? You remember Rahul Gandhi had called them as the voice of dissent. Today they must clarify that do they stand with India or do they stand with Urban Naxals, a term used by the UPA government in 2013.
Tell us, please.
These people are Indian citizens.
Urban Naxals are Indian Naxalites who are responsible for red terror and killing our braves are Indian citizens.
We are completely out of time, unfortunately. Sunit Chopra, Sumanth Raman, Shehzad Poonawala, as well as Tuneen Sira, thanks so much for joining us on the show today. We're slipping into a very quick break. Poll Pulse coming up on the other side.